Today's show is brought to you by My Patriot Supply Storable Food. Visit preparewithk2d4.com today. You'll save $100 off a full 4-week supply of emergency food from My Patriot Supply. That's preparewithk2d4.com today.
Coming up on Talk is Cheap, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 153. We're going to cover a lot of stuff here. I actually had to delete some stuff to get through today's episode. We got some COVID-19, of course, and do I dare say it, number 17. Some space stuff, and then I got some Ttsa stuff and a bone to pick with Tom DeLong. Up next on Talk is Cheap. Welcome to Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk and talk is cheap on this Friday, October 23rd, 2020 edition. I'm Dan Holfeld. I am anti-vax, anti-mask, and pro-America. To my left here is Pete Hallblive.
I don't know exactly how to follow that one, Dano. How's it going, man? Nice hat.
It's pretty good, huh?
8 inches.
8 inches.
Yeah, for those of you who are listening, I have a red hat that says Keep America Great on it, so I'm sure there's going to be some triggered people out there. Are you triggered, Pete?
I'm not triggered, but I do have a question. What are we keeping great?
I want the foundations back. It's coming back. I'm not saying it's completely there yet, but we're making progress.
Okay. So, but we're not great right now.
We're doing a lot of things to get there.
Okay.
And you can see that happening.
Right.
But
I just feel that the hat might be a little misleading.
For the record, I didn't buy this hat. I didn't buy this shirt. This was given to me when I went to a rally thing. So I figured, why not use it here where I won't get killed? Because if you go on the street and wear this, you might get killed.
Somebody will throw a brick at me or something, right? No, there will be no brick hurling in here, Dan. I was curious to see just what we were keeping great is all. Keeping the protests, that's great, right?
Well, that's all the left.
Destruction of property.
That's all the left there.
Yeah, well, we got to get rid of that, right? Oh boy.
But
oh boy.
I just lost my train of thought now.
I'm sorry. I got you thinking about why America's great, and
it is great.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, is there any other country that's better? Can't think of one.
Liechtenstein, maybe. I don't know.
Come again.
I don't know. I'd probably look off planet for something better, but.
Thank you guys for joining us today. We're streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, and D Live. Again, don't be afraid to go subscribe to the audio podcast on your favorite podcasting platform in the link below. Very important because they just did a purge on YouTube. I'm sure a lot of you know about it. We weren't one of those, thank God, but it could happen someday.
Oh, they purged a bunch more conspiracy folks out there.
There was a whole bunch of them.
I caught a blurb about that, and I kind of rolled my eyes like I usually do when YouTube starts to apply their own filters, if you will.
And we're also on LBRY and BitChute. I dropped D2 because that just went to hell. I want to give a special thanks to Aiden for doing a PayPal donation. That came up the other day, and I was like, hey, this is great.
Aiden, thank you. That's awesome, man.
I think it's actually his second time doing that, so that's really nice.
Repeat donator. Well, we appreciate it. It helps keep the lights on, don't it, Dan?
Sure does. So let's jump into
We ain't getting any help from YouTube anymore.
It's done for.
Yeah, we're done for there. So
we'll jump right into it. I want to try to gloss over the COVID stuff. I know everybody's pissed about it, but I think some of the stuff's important. I'm sure Pete can chime in a lot on a lot of this.
I had a couple of things COVID related. I'll let you go, Dan, and if I can't work them in, I'll mention them at the end.
All right. So I want to mention some of these. These are kind of important. Let me go to a full screen here. So NASA says there is a 0.042 chance of an asteroid hitting the Earth on 11/2/20. The chance of dying from COVID-19 is 0.026.
On the same day, right? Okay, so
what getting into here is we got a bigger chance of getting hit by an asteroid than dying from COVID.
Okay. So for starters, my first question is,
oops. That's what happens.
Interrupted by Trump, that goes surprise, surprise. Trump jumps in. Okay, so Dan, first off, my first question is, where's that data from? And two, I always kind of, when people start throwing numbers, I always ask myself, does that make sense? Okay. If we are to believe what we are being told, some people have died from COVID.
Yes. And
how many people have died from asteroid strikes during the same time period?
When you take into the calculation of the distance, is what they're saying. There's that much of a distance of it coming. If it hits the earth, everybody dies.
Well, yeah. Okay, sure. Yes. But I don't feel that it's represented accurately enough in the sense that, on that if that was truly the case that you had a greater chance of dying from an asteroid than you do COVID, we would see asteroid deaths. But I get where they're just they're massaging the stats to
I don't get what you're saying, because it doesn't make it if that's much of a chance that that's going to hit the earth. That's a target on everybody.
Yep.
So everybody has the same chance.
Sure.
So with COVID deaths, when you add it all up, that's the percentage.
So why don't we have any asteroid deaths to compare the data to if it's more likely to be hit, if you're more likely to be hit by an asteroid?
There's a greater chance.
Oh, because that it would wipe out all of humanity than if you were to die from COVID.
When you put it
together. Except for the people that die from COVID, it didn't work out that way.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, I would like to see the numbers. I always like to see the data. What was the test methods? But I get what they're saying. So we've got a 99% survival rate overall between
99.997, 0 to 19, 20 to 49 years old, 99.98.
Yep.
So you got a better chance of survival between 20 and 49.
No,
I'm reading that wrong.
Yep.
And then 50 to 69 years old, 99.5, and 70 plus years, 94.6.
So really what this
is...
age. So I mentioned this a long time ago, Dano, when we first started talking about COVID and how it was recognized that older people are affected more.
Uh-huh.
All this is doing is like saving so many countries' social security systems. The old people are dying; they don't got to pay them. You know? So America's gutting the Social Security. That's great. This is great for the Washington D.C. because you don't have to pay about 5% of our old people that catch this, right?
Well, yeah, I guess if you look at it that way, that's good old socialism.
Yeah, right. I'm thinking of Soylent Green. I forget there's another one. There's a Star Trek episode where everybody over 40 died automatically or something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm suspect of that statistic, but I do get it in the sense that everybody could die.
Okay.
How about climate change? Did you see that?
I didn't look that one up. Dr. Fauci, the man, the myth, the legend, the mask master, the guy that says don't have a mask, then wear a mask. This was in July 1st, 2020, when he was doing the hearings. He actually takes his mask off while he goes to the side here. Let's play this clip and we can talk about
all them politicians are doing it.
Well, I mean, if it's, wear that, it's the end of the world. Especially him when he was at the baseball game and he has it pulled down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sitting next to his buddies, right?
Yep.
Yeah, people in that position need to understand that they are being watched like a hawk. Well, look at the person behind him's not wearing a mask.
Wear it hanging off too, so I really think, the mask is more of a political weapon than anything. Now, I've been talking about, underlying issues of the mask. I know you and I kind of disagree on this, Pete. And now that the kids have been going to school, you're kind of starting to see some of this stuff happen. Now, I talked about the bacterial infections before. This lady here, this is a tweet. My neighbor's teen grandsons have been back at school for 2 weeks. Both are sick, tested COVID negative. They're suffering from a bacterial infection, the doc said, as a result of wearing masks to school 8+ hours a day. And I've actually seen these were posted on, there's some pictures that were posted on Facebook. I'm not going to show any of those because, number one, underage kids, and number two, it looks nasty. Some of the stuff on their face from this, like the bacteria is just, and kids are dirty. And this goes back to do it right, make sure everything's clean, have another clean mask. They should be having 2 or 3, I suppose, during the day. And they're not changing them.
If you look, they recommend that you change them out every couple hours. So again, we talked about this in a previous episode. This is incorrect mask wearing. Even if Darlene is true, I can create a Twitter account and call it whatever and claim they got a 14-inch schlong. Doesn't make it true.
I've seen pictures of the kid's mouth. It was nasty shit.
Are we sure that was from a mask?
You can see right where the mask goes, right around their face. It's right where it's at.
I would like to see that as well because, it's not that I'm pro mask. What I am is like not buying into that these masks are so terrible because again we should see for decades Asians with rashes on their face. We should see all of our heart surgeons and brain surgeons with rashes on their face.
I don't think Asians were really pushed into it like everybody's being pushed into it right now.
In the Asian countries, they've been wearing this shit for decades, man. I mean, since the 80s and stuff, due to smog and disease.
They take it out when they go inside, but now you can't do it when you go inside.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't been to see, but I do. They wear it outside, which is kind of opposite of what we're doing, right? So I don't know. I still have yet to see any solid study or evidence. Color me skeptical or what, but I don't believe pictures on the internet, on Facebook and on Twitter and stuff. I've seen so much stuff in my time that is just blatantly wrong. I really need to go back and see. If it was John Hopkins doing a study that said this, I would tend to give that a little more weight than some anonymous Darlene on Twitter. That's just me, though.
Did you see this? 85% of COVID-19 patients contracted virus despite always or often wearing a mask.
Okay, that's interesting.
This is on the CDC website. Study shows that 70.6% of symptomatic COVID-19 sufferers reported that they always wore a face diaper despite but they were never. I just botched that. But we can click on the link here. This takes you to the CDC site. Scroll down.
This is interesting too because there's a recent study done in New York City in the school system.
Reported use of cloth face coverings or masks 14 days before illness on site. Always wearing them. That's 74%. Now, this could be two things. Number one, the mask isn't effective as a lot of people think, which I lean that way a lot. Could it help maybe a little bit? Sure. Or are people, when they put these on, they think they got full protection or just getting closer to each other?
Well, that's just it too. And you made a really good point here, Dan, with the distancing that's involved, because the mask just does not allow.
Social distancing is way more important than wearing a mask.
I would say so. I would agree with that. And then the cleaning, right? The disinfecting, right? Somebody not wearing, see, right now I'm not wearing a mask, right? And I'm talking on this microphone. There is droplets going on this microphone. Some poor bastard, if I've got COVID, some poor bastard comes by within 4 to 6 hours later and starts licking this microphone. There's a chance of contraction. So, I'm also going to just say that this is my personal observations at work, outside of work, public, whatever. People are not wearing masks properly. People aren't washing their hands properly still. So when we point to saying, hey, masks aren't effective. Well, wait a minute. If properly they are, right? I can have a Lamborghini out front. I don't put gas in it. It ain't going anywhere. It's a piece of shit car, right? So, so we've got to see that. And if anybody doesn't believe me that people aren't wearing their masks right, just look. I mean, it's very rarely do you see anybody wearing their mask right without fidgeting and screwing around with it. So I think there's a lot of factors there. The stuff that I've seen, and I mean, the disease prevention for my whole life has been wear a mask. That's people wear a mask. You look at any damn apocalyptic movie. Look at what goes on in other disease outbreaks. People are wearing masks.
You said before, we're not in a what should be qualified as a pandemic.
That's a whole nother conversation, right? And oh God. Okay, I'm going to let you continue because you remind me. I got a comment to make about the flu season. I don't know if this is appropriate or not, time or not. So I don't want to mess up your role.
Okay, I want to talk in the chat here. Creative Goddess said a message here.
Dan Rock's got it.
So, what do you recommend people sneezing into their mask? Is that something that you would?
I would sneeze into the mask. I would probably, and I've sneezed. And I tuck it in, but if you sneeze and your mask gets wet and moist.
Which it will.
Guess 100%. What? So you sneeze in your mask, you best be putting a new mask on, right? This is where that mask wearing comes in, right? If you get moisture in your mask, change the damn mask. And some people say, well, my mask gets wet right away. You're right. It can. So better have a lot of damn masks with you if it's going to work.
Right.
So
we got Trump here. He actually talks about that study that I just talked about with the CDC or showing the stats there, and then he also calls out Fauci. I thought it was a good play.
We're not supposed to be. And look at all the masks. They keep saying nobody wears masks. Wear the masks. Although then they come out with things today. Did you see CDC? that 85% of the people wearing the mask catch it, okay?
74. Okay. It wasn't 85. It was
Well,
70, but still.
they count those two categories.
Yeah, my friend
often
Eddie's a
in
nice
polls.
guy.
Oh,
Tony.
I see.
Tony
I'm with
Fauci. He's a nice guy. He said, this is not a threat. This is not a problem. Don't worry about this. Not that one's a problem. It's the craziest thing. Then he said, do not wear a mask. Do not wear a mask under any circumstances. Don't wear a mask. Don't, right? So if we don't wear a mask, then they say, oh, wear a mask. I never saw it. Do you ever see any conflicts? But he's a nice guy, so I keep him around, right? We'll keep him around.
I'm a
He's
nice
a
guy,
Democrat.
Trump. Put me on
Everybody
your
knows that.
cabinet.
He's Cuomo's friend. Cuomo did the worst job of any governor in the United States.
Beautifully trolled. Love it.
Yep. Okay. So a comment there on that too. I think that a comment like that about, hey, when we point to something 6 months ago and say, well, they said this then, and now they're saying that, that's just a scientific method at work, man. And we can't.
So it's fine for that, but when it comes to climate change, the science is settled, right? Why does it work one way but not both ways?
Well, I disagree. The science is never really ever settled. I mean, that's the whole aspect of the scientific method, right? Otherwise, we'd still be thinking that the earth was flat and shit. Well, all right. Oops. Maybe not the best analogy there. But so anyway, I'm going back with it. It makes sense to me that a mask would slow the spread of disease of this nature. That's all I'm saying. And if more people are wearing masks, right? People that the masks don't prevent the contraction of it. It just reduces it. So if everybody's wearing a mask, you're going to say, well, boy, look at it. They still caught it. They're wearing a mask. What we don't know is if those 84% never wore a mask, would those numbers be, would numbers be different if nobody was wearing a mask? All I can do, I'm not a virologist. I'm not a doctor. All I can do is draw from personal experience and try to filter out all of the crap that is coming at us.
This next clip here, I'm going to play some doctors. Now, these are America's frontline doctors. Everybody, because they're not with the narrative. They're just kooky guys. Why do we always listen to these other people like Fauci and these other guys, but we don't listen to the doctors?
Right,
a lot
the
of
ones
doctors
with the
are getting censored.
A lot of the we're listening to the guys who's got all this political backing and stuff.
Yeah,
right? And that does not help with the politicization. Anyway, you get what I'm saying of the whole.
America's Frontline Doctors is a group of doctors who aim to dispel misinformation aimed at COVID-19. They gathered here today in Washington, D.C. in front of the Supreme Court to give that information to the American people. After the event, I had an opportunity to speak with some of them, and here's what they had to say.
Early treatment is what we need. It is effective. It will save lives, so we need early treatment. I created a telemedicine platform called myfreedoctor.com, where I'm treating patients for free in all 50 states. All they have to do is go to my website and track me down.
We just aim to bring truth and information to the American people. Early treatment works. There's a lot of early treatment options. Masks don't work. If you want information on both of those things, they're on our website.
We need to stand up and talk about Section 230. This is something these news organizations, these social media platforms specifically, cannot be allowed to act.
Section 230 allows social media's companies to get away censoring people and not act as a publisher and not be responsible.
Oh, okay. I'm with you. Yep.
Publishers while still being protected by Section 230.
Well, I mean, the CDC just actually came out with these numbers in July, and they showed that of the people they looked at with COVID, 85% had said they'd been wearing a mask always or usually. Now, what does that tell you? Only 3.9% of that group said they never wore a mask. If masks worked, you would see some different numbers. In fact, the control group, that group, same numbers. So 85% of people are wearing a mask, and it's not necessarily doing them any good.
We've treated 1,900 positive patients with the successful use of hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and either Zithromax or doxycycline. We have had one hospitalization and a 0% mortality rate. And we noticed that treatment early, within the first 2 days to 3 days of
crisis actors,
diagnosis, had that high success rate.
I'm a child psychiatrist in West Los Angeles. All of my kids are scared. And I've been noticing that around the country, this fear has morphed or devolved into something even more eerie, which is a state of delusional psychosis, this belief that we must keep everything closed, we must hide, we must mask ourselves in order to save lives. And I'm very, very concerned that mental illness, that hysteria that's overtaken the country is moving into something even more sinister, which is social control.
People need to know that there's early treatment that can be successful, and they need to put their foot down and demand early treatment, because I don't think, after everything that's happened, I don't think it's going to come from the top down.
Right now, they're still trying to drive the narrative that we have a pandemic going on. We don't.
There you go.
So I thought that was, some interesting comments there. I'd like to know the credentials of these folks as well. But I'd like to see the studies. You can
look them up. They got it here about the mass. So you got size of bacteria, 5 micrometers, particles in wood smoke, 0.04 to 0.07, and the size of the virus is 0.1. That's influenza and SARS.
COVID-2, right? SARS-CoV-2? No, that's the other one. That's the other SARS.
I think it's the same thing. CoV-2 is they're both basically based on the same stuff. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, see, and we knew cloth masks were junk to begin with. It's and especially excuse me, COVID. Especially Dan, some of these people wearing these bandanas and crap, and
that's what I would do, because it's just for show anyway.
Yeah, it's not doing anything.
It's just so you can get in the damn door. I mean, that's the thing. Everybody just got bullied into submission with all this.
Well, that's where your federal and state mandates come in, man, right?
Interesting thing. I'm not going to play the clip because there's a lot of stuff to cover today, but Trump has been talking about that Regeneron, and that's what he used to get cured from COVID-19. And could that be the catalyst for instead of doing the vaccine? Because obviously I'm not going to take a vaccine.
Yeah, I'm not getting any vaccine anytime soon.
So
that's for sure.
If that can be used, it's not widely available yet. He's got to get approval.
See, okay, so this is one of the things I wanted to mention.
Mm-hmm.
Trump caught COVID.
Mm-hmm.
3 days later, he was
planted?
cured, right? And he came out. He said himself, and other news organizations reported it. He was given an experimental treatment. And he said, it isn't available to everybody, but I'm going to make it available. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Just think about that for a minute, okay? You don't just give the damn president of the United States an experimental treatment, okay? So what this tells me is that they've been studying
for a while
this coronavirus, which we already know, right? Back in the Wuhan lab, right?
Yeah.
We knew that Fauci was involved in that years ago studying coronaviruses.
Uh-huh.
They had a treatment. They have a treatment. They had a treatment before this outbreak, but it's not available to us. It's not available to the people. These elites are subject to a completely different healthcare system, completely different access to healthcare and treatments and all this stuff. I mean, the president said, 3 days, it wasn't bad. He's got the best damn doctor on the planet.
Well, he had multiple doctors.
Best team of doctors on the planet.
Right.
Access to all of these. This is not an experimental treatment, Dan. This is a treatment they know is going to work.
Right. I agree.
And yet we're not allowed to have it. Okay. So there's a huge problem right there, man. And so it just adds in the back of my mind to this complete disillusionment, disenfranchisement from the system, that the president catches it and he's fine in 3 days. Yet this is such a big, huge deal. Why isn't that treatment right now getting made in 50 freaking factories across the country now?
They said they made a lot and they're going to distribute, but it has to get that stupid FDA approval.
No, it doesn't. Apparently not. If you're the president, you get it without it.
Right. There must be some back approval there.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's do it. This is ridiculous, man. And so in the meantime, we're still stuck doing all this crap.
Uh-huh.
I've pretty much, I've said this before. At work, it's easy. Policy came down from above. I follow it. That's what they pay me to do. Okay. But outside of work, I get to have a little bit more of opinion, and I mask up when I go into stores. That's what's expected. And plus, at my job at work, if a coworker saw me not masked up where I should, I'd never hear the fucking end of it. Oops.
You're
Sorry.
fine.
Okay.
Whatever.
Beep. I'd never hear the end of it. But anyway, so it's like I've almost resigned myself to the fact that I'm not going to be able to change anything. So I'm just going to play the game and hope this goes away. Well,
take your vitamins, exercise.
Yeah,
that's something you can do.
I do all of that stuff.
Sure.
But I personally don't find wearing a mask uncomfortable really at all, or that much of an inconvenience at all.
I don't know. It's more about a freedom thing to me. And it's like, if you want to tell me to block an airway, and it's like, you have to do this or you can't like be a part of society. That's where I start getting pissed off.
So you mentioned, freedoms and control and stuff like that. I don't think a mask mandate even rises to the level of a freedom and control thing.
Because this is where it's going here. Let's watch this video.
Yep, good.
Ireland is created to protect our society and our economy.
By the way, this is Health Passport Ireland. This is going to be like your COVID pass that we talked about before. We're going to have it on your phone. Now this is in Ireland.
Built in Ireland by the RockU Group, the system uses the very best COVID-19 testing, combined with the latest mobile technologies. Health Passport Ireland is powered by proven and validated systems, allowing us all to take safer steps in our return to our normal way of life. Here's how it works. With Health Passport Ireland, everyone can now be tested for COVID-19 at any time, which helps to protect you, your family, our jobs, and our economy. Your COVID-19 test will be performed with highly accurate serological or swab tests. Your test is performed by a medical professional. After your COVID-19 test, an authorised healthcare administrator creates your Health Passport Ireland account. Your login details will be emailed to you immediately with a link to download your Health Passport mobile app. The authorised healthcare administrator securely updates your COVID-19 test results in your Health Passport. Once activated, you can easily display your COVID-19 status on your mobile. Your Health Passport can be scanned if you wish, which helps protect those around us. Your COVID-19 status will efficiently display as green, amber, or red,
You want to talk about Nazi Germany? Your papers, please.
dependent on your test results. This allows us to go about our daily activities in a safer way. We can all use Health Passport Ireland in many ways, such as travel, hospitality, education, healthcare, construction, offices, entertainment, visits, and much, much more. Naturally, the validity of your COVID-19 test will expire over time, so an automatic reminder will be sent when it's time to be tested again. Your status will move to amber when your test period has expired. Health Passport Ireland does not use Bluetooth or track your location. This preserves your privacy. The systems can work in
No, here's the catch. Now listen to that. They don't track your location, but
harmony with existing government contact tracing apps. When a vaccine becomes available, your official vaccine
That's still not even the catch part.
status can also be displayed within your Health Passport. You can even keep a diary of your international travel and events you have attended.
You're going to tell them yourself where you're going.
Health Passport Ireland can be linked to existing secure medical systems if required.
I don't buy
for
that they're
example,
not
at your
tracking you,
GP
man.
or
Not for a
hospital.
second.
You can visit www.healthpass.
So there you go. It's just
Okay, so hold on. Did anybody realize that Ireland just said they had a test that takes 10 minutes?
We got one too. It's just that for some reason it's not widely available.
For crying out. Apparently Ireland can do it. Oh my God.
But that's what I'm getting to. You got the mask. This is the whole point of forcing everybody to wear the mask. So they're so used to submitting. This is the next step. You just swap mask with Health Passport.
Here's a news flash, Dan. Us as a culture, a human society, have long since thrown in the towel and have been submitting. Take a look at the taxes, the permits that you need.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm saying this whole mask thing. No, I'm not a big fan of like required vaccination and testing. That's just like a way invasion of privacy. But then again,
but that's what it's going to come to, because you can't fly, you can't drive, you can't travel.
And if I'm a private business owner, now this is different between state versus federal and state mandate. It's different than a private business owner. If I'm a private business owner, I feel that I'm well within my rights to require that of my customers. I run the risk of not having a business though, right? If enough customers say, screw you, I'm not going to do it. So my problem comes from the mandating part of it, from the state and the federal. We should not be mandating this stuff. Not on something like this. I don't have, like, okay, let's say like COVID was much worse and 99% of the people died that caught it, right? I would think that a mandate, a state
sounds like a Bill Gates dream, by the way.
Yeah, right. I don't think a state and federal mandate would be necessary, right? Enough people would wake up that if I came across some guy with a runny nose and I was going to be dead 3 days later, I'm going to wear a mask. I'm going to stay away.
It's about personal responsibility.
Well, yeah, but the people don't demonstrate that they have any common
If I'm going to go
sense.
outside and it's cold and I'm going to freeze my ass off, that's my risk I'm taking if I don't take a jacket with.
Yeah, but we have stuff in place to help prevent those people, people from harming themselves, right?
And
if
it's
you're
their
a danger,
option.
if you're a danger to yourself, Dan, right? We can institutionalize you and do things about that. So maybe this is the next thing. Hey, you're not wearing a mask, you're a danger to yourself, and now whoop, there you go, off you go.
The COVID pass on your phone turns red, throw him in a patty wig and he's gone. That's how it works.
And they grind them up for food for the rest of us.
I've seen that in China.
So anyway,
that's the end of the COVID stuff. If you want to add anything, now's your time.
Okay, flu. I want to talk about the flu, Dan. And I don't know. We maybe have some folks from South America or Southern Hemisphere rather. That's where the flu typically starts down in South America and works its way north. At least our flu does. Anyway, do you remember, Dan, last March when the corona hit us first? And they were reporting all these cases. There were doctors coming out. I heard this on National Public Radio. I've heard this on major news networks. Because of social distancing and masks, the flu pretty much was eliminated in a couple weeks. We have no more new flu cases. It's all COVID. Do you remember that at all? I never heard that. Okay. It's easy. It's out there. Google it. You'll find dozens of internet articles describing how the flu, the positive flu cases literally hit a cliff and went to just about
they
zero.
Classified COVID the flu as COVID.
Well, allegedly, right? That's what we thought, that every sniffly nose was now COVID because the hospitals got more money. They were paying out more for support and all that. So it was beneficial for them to diagnose it. Well, but people were pointing at this mask and social distancing stuff and saying, look what it did to flu, because it's not nearly as contagious. It's more easily contained. Flu went away. Okay. And this year in 2020, the U.S. has recorded historic lows of positive flu cases this year. Okay. And we're talking 1/80th of the cases that we were, documenting a year ago. Okay. 0.4% or so. I'd have to look on the site to get the exact numbers. Anyway. So now the narrative is, get your flu shot. This is going to be a double pandemic. When flu comes back, we're going to have COVID and flu. And if you catch them both, you're going to die. 6 months ago, they were saying how all this masks and social distancing wiped out the flu. Why are they pushing this flu vaccine so much? It should be a non-issue. And moving forward, based upon the reports back in March and April, what this mask wearing did to the flu, we should never have another flu vaccine again. We should just start social distancing and mask wearing for 3-4 months. Actually, it wouldn't even take 3 months, right? It would take just like a month of mask wearing and social distancing. The flu virus would die out on its own. Then we could take them all off because it's just not around anymore. Makes no sense to me. It's a completely different narrative now that the flu season's back on us. And I'll tell you why, because these pharmaceutical companies making this vaccine need to make their billions of dollars selling flu vaccines, man,
Of course.
So there's a huge conflict out there that nobody's talking about. Is on one hand, they're saying, oh, look at, masks work. We eliminated the flu. It's all COVID now. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we need a vaccine now. Make sure you get your flu vaccine because you'll catch them both now. So it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, right.
It's a huge red flag in my mind. Okay, Trump's experimental cure, the flu vaccine. There was one more. It'll come to me later. I'll mention it.
All right, I'll show this. This is interesting because Newt Gingrich was on Fox News. I don't know if a lot of people might have seen this. He mentions George Soros, and they basically say we're not going there. So that's really interesting.
And overwhelmingly elected with George Soros' money, and they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing, because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this. I was going to say you get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we discuss the fact that millions of dollars he spent?
I agree with Melissa. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
Doesn't need to be a part.
Okay.
It's just
that's awkward,
it's
man.
all awkward. And it's still sitting there.
Newt, talk about it, man.
We're going to move on.
We're going to move on.
Oh, my God. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! So I guess you can't even mention George Soros' name on television.
Fox News, even.
Why would Fox News?
Because
care?
This is interesting. I don't know if he's financing some of that. If you think about it, you can finance both sides and get the narrative.
The bankers have been doing in every war since the beginning of time.
But I guess like Roger Stone, when he was on Fox News too, he said before he went on live, they said you can't mention George Soros' name.
Really? Because he's going to pull his $100 million funding. Our budget's going to be blown apart, you know?
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, well, it's not unheard of to purchase the media. I mean, that's if you look at the major media, they're all owned by the same group anyway, right?
All right, we're going to take a break. We got ourselves here. Sponsors. This is our first sponsor of the show. I definitely appreciate it. I like to put products that you guys can use and help yourself. And that is My Patriot Supply. I urge you to visit preparewithk2d4.com and build your emergency food supply today. Right now, save $100 off a 4-week full supply of their delicious, nutritious meals that give you a life-saving 2,000 calories per day. My Patriot Supply is here to help you prepare for the worst, and saving $100 off their life-saving 4-week supply of food is too good to pass up. So go to preparewithk2d4.com now. And this is this is important because I've had storable food myself, and I've actually used it during this crisis, quote unquote, because I didn't want to go to the store and deal with people. Again, they got free shipping and handling. It's $100 off. You can get the 4-week supply for $197, regularly $297. And also they have a 2-week supply. Give it a try, $97. It's always good to have some food on hand. You never know when you're going to need it. And we appreciate My Patriot Supply.
And it lasts, what, 25 years, right? Yeah, 25 years shelf life.
25 plus years shelf life.
I've got some mac and cheese that was given to me from this company by a buddy of mine.
Really?
Try it. Yeah, he's a big prepper. He's spent some money doing this. I haven't eaten it yet. But I've got it. I was going to wait until I was going to go camping sometime. You know, that's easy, quick. You know, you just add warm water, and let it go.
It seems like they're pretty easy. Mac and cheese, creamy Alfredo pasta, buttermilk pancakes. The pictures look good. I'll say that.
Yeah. You know what, Dan? Okay. I think that our viewers are astute enough. I keep saying that. I hope they are, to realize that, you know, we just don't plug a company or a product without getting some sort of kickback behind the scenes. So, you know, I think, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, that this company has said that they would send us some product, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to send us some product, and we only get a portion when we sell something. So right now, that's how it works.
Oh, so if they come through your website,
that's important. You got to go to preparewithk2d4.com. The link is down below. And you can also get it off the
we'll
website.
Get 2% or some crap like that off of each sale. So anyway, I think if they give us, if they're hold true on this, they're into the deal and they give us some samples, I think we should dedicate a show to trying some.
Oh yeah, we could do a separate show, sure.
Yeah, well, just have it prepped, and we'll have a bowl of chicken rice soup we can try on air, right? Or something before we start. So, and I'll tell you what, if they don't hold up on their end of the bargain, dude, we're gonna blast them K2D4 style, man. Talk is cheap style, and you will see that company. Probably not affected at all, actually, but
a pretty popular company. I was actually pretty excited to have them.
Yeah.
They reached out to me, so that's awesome.
Oh, awesome! They think that our viewers are their kind of people, and I agree. I am a bit of a prepper, although most of my food preservation will not last 25 years, but will last quite a while. I do a lot of canning and stuff, and shelf stable preservation myself. I always like to keep about 6 months of food on hand.
Oh yeah, of course. That's really good.
Yeah.
All right, we'll continue on here. We'll get into some Q stuff. Maybe we should transition in.
Yeah, what the hell is going on with Q? Cocaine.
All right, so a lot of stuff. This is interesting here. We got HRES. So this is the resolution in the House, 1154. condemning QAnon
What?
and rejecting conspiracy
People are
theories.
spending their time and effort on this?
So it's a conspiracy theory, but the House is making
sure. This gives Q so much more credibility in my
Right?
They are not condemning lizard shapeshifter political leaders, right? They are terrified of Q.
But this is the whole thing. They tie this in with like,
oh, come
all this
on.
crap.
Switch QAnon with Proud Boys or BLM or you name it. Throw any group in there and you're going to find people like that.
Yeah.
Throw the Catholic Church in there. List all the butt stuff they do to little kids, man. And should be condemning them.
Or as Biden calls them, the poor boys.
The poor boys, is that what he said?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And this also keeps going more because then you got Tech Industries. This is a Peloton.
Peloton? I've never heard of them.
It's an exercise. This is a treadmill.
Oh,
they removed QAnon hashtags from their platform. So again, they say a spokesperson told the company has zero tolerance against hateful content. Blah 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 blah.
And QAnon is not hateful, though, man. Just because some loony goes out and hurts somebody and they find QAnon stuff does not. That just drives me nuts. The powers that be are scared, Dan, of maybe QAnon is all made up. It's some dude in the basement in his pajamas living with his mother that's putting this out there. But what they're afraid of is what it's making people think about and the light that it's shining, and the people are becoming more critical and observant toward
Right.
what the elite are doing. And that's what they don't like about it.
Yeah, it's
you cut off the head, two will grow
it's
back.
like you might not think, or you might be a conspiracy theory, but like it's still giving some good information. So take it for what it's worth. Now
even if the information's bad, it's making people think, okay, and having people look with a little more critical eye.
Now this is interesting here. We'll get to that in a second. Kind of a Q proof. So this is another plane that changed their call code to Trust 17. Interestingly, I'm going to cover this topic. This is around the Air Force Base. Just slipped out of my mind.
Oh, down in Ohio there?
Yeah, Dayton, Ohio. It's oh man, it just left my head. I don't know why it just left my head. I'm doing a topic on it. I did a lot of research on it.
And it's just
I'm thinking of Edwards Air Force Base, but it's not Edwards Air Force Base. It's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Is it? Okay, all right,
Jesus.
good. I was just Googling it for us. Or I mean, yeah.
So that's interesting on that self right there, that it's around in that area. Again, could it just be a regular pilot that decides, hey, I'm going to change the call sign? Sure. Doesn't necessarily.
Yeah,
do
they have free reign of changing their call sign?
That's a good question. I guess I never even kind of looked that up. But
and where was that screenshot taken from?
Actually, I think I pulled this one off of another place, so I couldn't tell you. But it's
so this is like apparently all the airplanes of this.
Actually, I have one of those apps too. You can see all the
flights
in this real time. It's pretty cool. Okay, did you watch the town halls? The not last night's, but
I did not watch the town halls.
So now Trump was asked about QAnon on there.
I saw that clip though. I did see that clip.
We'll play it for anybody who hasn't.
I'm more interested in what's going on behind Trump there on the right.
You don't know what while we're doing. Denouncing, let me ask you about QAnon. It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior of that. Now, can you just once and for all state that? All right, while we're denouncing that. Now, can you just once and for all state that is completely not true and that disavow QAnon in its entirety?
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I hate to say that. I know nothing about it. I do know they are very much against pedophilia. They fight it very hard.
I like that. I know nothing about it, but I do know they're against pedophilia.
Yeah. He says that, but he knows what the hell.
I know nothing about it.
They believe it is a satanic cult run by the deep
state. Study
state.
the subject. I'll tell you what I do know about. I know about Antifa, and I know about the radical left, and I know how violent they are and how vicious they are, and I know how they're burning down cities run by Democrats, not run by Republicans.
Republican Senator Ben Sasse said, quote, QAnon is nuts, and real leaders call conspiracy theories conspiracy theories.
He may be
Why
right.
not just say it's
Can I be
crazy and
honest?
not true?
He may be right. I just don't know about QAnon.
You do know.
I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Let me
tell
ask you
all
another
about it.
thing.
Let's waste a whole show.
By the way, this is supposed to be a town hall, and she's sitting there debating him. Like, what the hell? Let the people ask their questions.
Yep. So, you know, he's been asked multiple times about QAnon. He knows enough about it. He knows that they support Trump. And his comeback that he usually has, I didn't really hear it here, but I've heard it before, is like, what you're doing is you're attacking a group that's trying to end pedophilia. And he said, I agree with that, ending pedophilia.
Right.
You know, so I don't know what scares people so much about QAnon if it was all made up. Right, Dan? If it was complete and utter malarkey, people don't give it a second thought, right? Oh, whatever. That's so crazy.
Oh yeah, that's
but
what they did with a lot of them back in the day.
Yeah,
they ignored you.
Yeah, but the fact that they're not ignoring QAnon, and actually the percentage of Americans that know what QAnon is actually very small. It's only like 22% or something in polls. If you know what QAnon is, never heard of it. So you've got a group that's that a very small percentage of the population even knows about, and we're getting proposed bills in Congress about it.
Right.
I'm telling you, man. They're scared. There's something there that they don't want to. And whether or not QAnon's right, wrong, completely made up, or whatever, they're scaring a lot of powerful people. And maybe the last thing I heard about QAnon is like it was National Public Radio, which I really love. I'm a big junkie on it, but it was like they were talking about QAnon, and then their expert said, "It's this group that says that these elite pedophiles are eating our children," and I'm like, no, it isn't. If that's your takeaway of what QAnon's all about, you are so misguided. That's just wrong. That you're saying she kept saying that they eat children. They eat children. And I'm like, well, you know what? For one, the fact of the matter is that there's people on the planet every day that eat children, man. I'm sorry to say that's going on. Now, is it the elite Democrats? Who knows? I just think it's an elite group. Some of them are Democrats, some are Republicans, some are independent. Who knows? But the fact that they aren't really talking about the substantive accusations that Q's making, and the names they're listing and looking into that, and they're just completely discounting it because it's so far-fetched. Yeah, I find it extremely hard to believe that John Podesta is out there torturing kids and harvesting.
Don't get too crazy on the subjects, by the way.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, you can say John Podesta is doing things he shouldn't be with kids. Let's leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Dan's worried about the legal implications here.
That's when you start crossing into that.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that some people are saying that, and it's anyway.
Yeah, and the thing is, if he did say that, let's look into it, like they would just completely focus and burn him on that.
Yeah, he's got some pretty disturbing artwork.
So yeah, that's definitely. And let's just. Is there anything else you want to touch?
No, apparently not. I'm being censored by Dan here. So move on. No, I know what you're saying.
That's a takedown there. I mean, the other stuff we talk about is demonetized. That's a takedown.
That's a takedown. Yeah. Oh my God, Johnny P, you're an idiot, man. That's good. That's gonna probably get us.
So let's just transfer over, shall we?
You're not a nice person.
Okay, let's talk about some space stuff. I can see that sometimes the chat's getting a little anxious there to get about some of this back to the UFO/space stuff. Okay, on this, we know that NASA talks about going back to the moon 2024. That's the plan. They're going to establish a base there, go from there, and then go to Mars. This is interesting here. Again, a $28 billion plan to land first woman on moon. We scroll down, and what I really want to focus on is this graphic. How mining the moon could work. Talk about mining the moon to get the I guess it's helium-3, which makes helium.
Helium-3, helium-3.
It's helium, but it's actually like a
helium.
You break it down, it makes helium.
Okay.
So interesting. They got phase 1, go to the moon. Phase 2,
like,
I don't know. There's a question mark. Phase 3 minerals.
Phase 2 is the moon alien war. Is what phase 2 is.
Right. You bring up a good point, because last we kind of left the moon in the conspiracy realm is talked about how we left on bad terms and we were warned to stay away from the moon because
and that's why
aliens.
we haven't that's why we haven't been back. And Neil Armstrong and his observation of being observed when they got out of their thing.
So how is this gonna work? Is Donald Trump gonna get up there with a contract and sign a deal, or what?
He's gonna start by putting a Trump Tower on the moon first, and then
you bring up another thing, because I was gonna show this article but I didn't, but I'll just mention it. They're talking about putting 4G on the moon already, so
well, I can't imagine it'd be that difficult actually to do that.
Well, to get up there, you got to have internet access, right?
Oh, great. I see that they're going to bring lunar soil back to Earth.
Again, when you establish this, easy idea, 3D printers. But all I wanted to do is point out on this here is how this is getting into the mainstream, folks, about, okay, we're going to mine up there, we're going to establish a base, get things going. Remember, this was all crazy talk back in the day, and now it's finally being given to the masses here.
Do you remember the movie Time Machine? You ever watched or read the book Time Machine?
That was a good one.
Remember they were mining the moon and they affected its mass enough that it hit the Earth?
Well, yeah, it
broke apart, right? Yeah, and part of it crashed in the Earth and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, I'm sure in 3,000 years it'll happen.
Here's an idea. For every ton of minerals we extract from the moon, we should bring a ton of garbage up there to keep the weight the same.
To balance it out?
Yeah, to balance it out.
You could fill it in with something, I suppose.
Yeah, our garbage, right? Maybe our nuclear waste.
So going to Mars now, multiple water bodies found under the surface of Mars. Several liquid bodies have been found under the south pole of Mars, according to a new major study. Get this stuff out in the open, get the public primed. Remember, there was nothing there before?
Oh!
And now it's mentioned.
Oh my God, Dan, did you read about this big announcement that's coming on Monday from NASA on the moon?
You're getting to my next article right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, there's not much on it. It just...
No, they're going to announce exciting news on Monday.
Yes, and it said, the 26th. There was no teaser about what that is.
No. So, it's like...
Any thoughts?
No. It's not going to be alien bases. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, you're probably... Oh, man, what could it be? Because they already talked about water.
What if it is Air Force or Navy footage of the Tic-Tac machines running around up on the moon? The Tic-Tac vehicles, right?
You think they're actually going to say that these things are on the moon and doing something up there?
I don't know. You said to guess. I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
I think it's going to... Now, it's probably going to be something more like we discovered, like a little bit of biological life up there, like a plant or something.
Have you seen the movie Life? It's a space movie with Ryan Reynolds in it.
Yeah, I think so.
Where they took a soil sample from Mars.
Crazy.
And then they grow it in a satellite or in the space station, and it grows like super big, super quick, and attacks everybody and tries.
That was the one thing I didn't like about that movie. I like science fiction space movies, but when it's just like this thing is a thing that's gonna kill you and blah blah blah.
And then it made its way to Earth at the very end.
I like more like establishing, exploring and then building stuff up. And
what was that movie again where they were like kind of like octopus aliens and they remember they had these they all these like pod like egg like ships landed on Earth, and they had these alien creatures that would do shapes. They were deciphering it was like a positive one where they were trying to help us not kill each other and stuff. And
is that the one with Nicolas Cage? That's Knowing. That was a good one.
No, I forget the name of it now.
That was a numbers one.
Yeah, but it was like, they landed all these big pods like in all the major countries, and then of course their militaries were like trying to, figure out what's going on, if they're a threat or not. But then they would like press up against the inside of their ship when people would go in it, and they would make shapes, and they were figuring out how to communicate with them. But I know what you're talking about. Anyway, sorry, that was a good movie.
It's Arrival, ain't it?
Oh, yeah, I think it is. I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
All right.
So that was not your. Yeah, they weren't here to wreak havoc. and
Yeah.
kill
So that was a good one. I thought the squid aliens was a little weird, but you know what? Alien's alien, I guess. So
well, it goes
is what
with
it is.
octopus DNA is very unique to this.
Oh, sure.
planet.
Sean just said it in the chat too.
Oh, good. Thanks, Sean.
So we talked about directed energy weapons before a lot. And this is so interesting. That's actually being admitted now by the Department of Defense.
Meanwhile, in space, Moscow and Beijing have turned a once peaceful arena into a warfighting domain. They have weaponized space through killer satellites, directed energy weapons, and more in an effort to exploit our systems and chip away at our military advantage.
All fake.
Thoughts?
Wait a minute. They're just pissed that China and what was it? China? Who else? Russia? That they did it because we were the only ones that had it up there to begin with. They're just mad that other people are doing it. Only we can do it.
Yeah, right. This stuff's been going on for quite a while.
Yeah,
and it's finally, it has to get announced because when you talk about Space Force and all this stuff getting established, here it is.
Yep.
You're going to start having Space Wars. And then...
Well, think of that. You get a directed energy weapon.
And does it tie in with the fires?
I was just going to say you could start a fire anywhere you want. You could just, hose down like entire areas.
It's crazy stuff. But you'd start talking about all this craziness and where it's all going.
I think it's all going to the extinction of the human race, man. We are but a blip on the radar of the life cycle of this planet, man. We're going to be long gone before anything gets resolved. We are on a self-destructive path that we're not going to make it. Human beings, Homo sapiens, have been on this planet intelligibly for what, 30,000, 40,000 years when we started, crossing land masses and stuff. Okay. Alligators have been on this planet for like 400 million years or whatever it is, right? Okay. We as human beings are a flash in the pan, man. We are way too arrogant. I've often said this, the best thing for this planet is to bottleneck us back down through a huge crisis.
Well, it depends.
And rebuild with about 20,000 people.
If stuff would just come out like the free energy, we could get past this whole war.
But you
thing.
can't because of the unbridled capitalism that runs across the planet. Everybody wants power and money, and
Yeah.
And no one wants to give up the power and money they have. It's easy, for you and I to say, you know what, if I had a $1 trillion in free energy, I'd give it away until you get the $1 trillion in free energy. And then you're like, screw that, man. I work for this, man. Screw the rest of those folks.
Right.
Go make me, my dinner and clean my house and shit stuff. I keep swearing, man. I apologize, Dan.
That's fine. Like I said, I don't really care anymore.
Okay. As long as I don't mention JP, we're all right.
All right, let's transition to some TTSA stuff.
Can we talk about Mr. E at all still, or is that still taboo?
What's E?
Mr. E in the old island down south.
Was there something new?
No, I'm just wondering if we can talk about that.
There's nothing new. I bring it up.
Okay. He didn't kill himself, by the way.
There you go.
It's all public.
It's all public, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna play some TTSA clips now. This
is your bone to pick with Mr. Delong.
It
isn't
is.
It?
We'll get into that.
Is he a drummer
shortly.
or a guitar player?
He's a guitar player / singer.
That's right.
I didn't correct you on the other episode, and I kind of caught hell for that
because I called him a drummer.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. The reason why I it was a Freudian slip or whatever, drummer, because I had a buddy who went into a strip club, claimed to be the drummer from Blink-182.
Oh, that's Travis Barker.
And anyway, he went in there and claimed he was the drummer of Blink-182 and got all the special treatment out of the
I guess
strip club.
He always gets the girls, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, even people pretending to be him do. So.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
I know my next Halloween costume then.
So somebody's paying close enough attention to call us out that Blink-182 Tom DeLonge was not a drummer. I bet you he knows how to play though.
So, I want to talk about Dr. Hal Puthoff. Now, he is the co-founder, board member, and worked at the Department of Defense Research, Scientific and Physics, Pentagon. Now, he was also part of the NSA.
He's a Pentagon guy.
Also part of the NSA. That's a big one there, too. So,
oh, that's even bigger than the Pentagon.
he was on a episode of the Ttsa Talks podcast. It was I listened to this stuff. He goes on and on and on and on. It's like I had this next clip here. I gotta play it. It's edited because he kept repeating himself. He's slow. He gets boring. I think this is
Is he mentally there still, Daniel?
Yeah, he is, but he's one of those smart guys, so it's just the way it works. That's about a 2.5 minute clip.
That's interesting that he's pulling in that caliber of folks.
But he talks here about how he got together with Tom DeLonge and how he basically established this thing. Now listen and see if you actually buy this.
How you got together with Tom, how you came up with the idea of To the Stars Academy, and then we'll go into some of the projects of TTSA.
By the way, that is Steve Justice, who worked at Skunkworks, who's also in To the Stars Academy, interviewing him on this podcast.
So, how did you meet Tom, and how did you get To the Stars Academy up and running? Because since you're one of the founding members.
Well, as I said, I did get involved in the Pentagon's UFO program, or we call UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena. I was a senior advisor and a contractor. And so I did get very much involved in the technical aspects of the UFO program for the government before I ever heard of or met Tom. If we're going to solve the problem of UFOs and how their technology works and so on, we're going to have to go way beyond what we know today. And so, in fact, I commissioned 38 papers from top scientists around the world in their areas of expertise.
By the way, worked at the Pentagon. Let's talk about UFOs. There's no this is crazy stuff.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
So that's important to put there. Now, I want to mention right here too. He's bringing up those 38 topics. This was the stuff that Corey Good brought up.
Okay, there's only 24 there, but okay.
There's more here.
Oh, and there's more on the next page.
Where is it? I had another page right there.
There we go.
38.
Oh, look at number 38.
But yeah, he was
Whoa.
number 5 here. So advanced space propulsion based on vacuum. Hell Puthoff. Bam. Okay.
Based on vacuum.
And these are all crazy topics. There was warp drives, dark energy, dimensions,
wormholes in space time.
This is admitted that the government was researching this stuff, folks.
Yeah,
this
they
is very
still
important.
are. They still are. Gravity wave communication. That one sounds interesting.
Vacuum energy applications. Eric Davis.
Anti-gravity studies.
We talked about Eric Davis before.
Yes, we have. Metallic spintronics.
And then laser weapons. So yeah, very interesting stuff.
Oh, nice.
Whether it be, invisibility cloaking or warp drive or new kinds of materials that might have some possibility of controlling gravity and that kind of thing. And as it turns out, about that time, there was an interview of Tom DeLonge by George Knapp. And Tom went on about how he had started talking to people in the aerospace industry and in government. And he proposed the idea that,
Which one?
23, programmable matter.
Ooh. Yeah. And you talking like nanotech style?
Well,
stuff?
I'm talking like, Terminator liquid metal stuff, right? I mean, come on.
Maybe a kind of structure that he might set up that would involve the public rather than just, secret government work, might be a way to go to make some headway in the subject area. And that caught my attention. I'd never heard of Blink-182 or whatever. So, but anyway, when I said, I've been talking to Tom DeLonge, Blink band there, and all my kids say, oh my God, he's the top of the line guy. And I said, yeah, but it turns out he's interested in the same kind of things I'm interested in. So,
come on, man. Do you buy that? You got a guy working at for the government, working on all this crazy
randomly
stuff.
Catches an interview, right?
By a band guy who's just out there, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna establish this thing with him.
I will say sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, right? And that real life can sometimes work out that way. It would be like a coincidence of monumental proportions, but I don't find it unbelievable. Maybe hard to believe, but not unbelievable.
Keep in mind, he's the co-founder
of TTS, right?
Yeah. So we need to get this out to the public. How do we do it? Let's get this idiot to help bring it out to the public.
This guy that we just
Tom DeLong.
Oh,
this guy is saying, let's do this.
Well, Tom DeLong, when you think about somebody in at that level of entertainment, right? You've almost instantly got several million people's attention, right? Now imagine Lady Gaga for whatever reason, right? The super fans. They got millions of fans.
I always said they need to
globe.
Make it sexy is what they need to do.
Yeah, well, we pick somebody else besides Lady Gaga. But anyway, if you think about it, it's actually kind of a good idea because you pick somebody that's already got a ravenous, dedicated fan base. And if your favorite musician, what is your favorite band?
That would be probably, I would still say that this is pretty close to the one here. Cold. They kind of helped me through some hard times.
Oh, right on. Okay, so Cold. Let's say, now they're not like mega stardom or whatever, but let's say Cold came out and said, hey, by the way, I partnered up with this astrophysicist and we're going to investigate X, Y, or Z. Okay. You as a fan, having respect for the band, and I would assume at some point, at least maybe not so much ravenous about more music and your guys are awesome, I want to listen to everything. You're going to say, whoa, my favorite band likes this. I'm going to look into this. Now, you might not stick with it, but you've got, instantly, when you piggyback on somebody with that sort of fame, you've instantly got the attention of millions of people. Whether you retain them or not is up to you, but you're gonna look at it. So it's actually not a terrible idea, because who would you rather listen to spew things that you may not be comfortable with or aware of?
No, you bring up good points, because it's all part of the plan. We've been through this before. It is a part of the plan. He's out there. He's got an established, and he can get,
he's the face, the pretty face, right? And he's got
stuff out to the smaller who will get older and be able to live with this stuff when they finally decide to. And actually, let's go back to the website, because I was just going to bring this up and I totally forgot. At the top here, they've updated it here, and it says they got a 3-step plan here. So it's number 1, collect and study anonymous data. 2, develop technologies related to findings. And 3, explain to humanity through a story that's with the media.
Well, that was different than going to Mars. Oh, wait, that was something else. That was NASA.
You've had too many drinks.
Already? Oh, my God, it's night's early.
But, okay, so that's part of how this tech is going to work, is like, okay, so is Steve Justice, the guy who worked at Skunkworks, going to build one of these UFOs or something and then release it through TTSA, and then they can make a movie about how all that worked? That's the plan, how it looks right now.
Well, what was interesting? We were, as we were scrolling through, there's board members and stuff. They had one gal who was like the vice president of entertainment, her right there, Carrie DeLong. Was that Tom's wife?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I actually I emailed her when I was trying to get
Chief Content Officer, President of Entertainment Division. What scares me about that is that TTS has an entertainment division. So it's like they're gearing up all this stuff for the movies and for the sensationalism.
Oh, yeah.
So
if you know anything about Tom DeLong, he likes to market stuff and make some money off of it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look, they have their own business strategy guy on the board too. So they're, again, they're in it to make money. They're choosing to, and I'll air quote, educate people about what they're finding, but make no mistake, it's a money-making gig. So just proceed with caution.
This leads to well, actually, we're not here yet. There's one more clip. I'm getting ahead of myself now. So this one's interesting here because clip 2 here, he talks about Robert Bigelow and Skinwalker Ranch and how he was involved with that. So let's play
the fact that I suddenly realized that, at least behind closed doors, technologies are being developed that are just sort of off the charts. in comparison to what's out there in the public. And so that made me recognize that, if I ever had a chance to get involved in that kind of work for the government again, I would certainly take it. And as years went by, eventually, because of my interest, I was invited to join Robert Bigelow's group called National Institute for Discovery Science, where he was looking into all kinds of unusual topics, including UFOs and things happening at Skinwalker Ranch and all that kind of thing. And so that's when I sort of got my feet wet about the UFO area, which I found really interesting. And we had people like Ed Mitchell, who was Apollo astronaut, and other people who were interested in UFOs. And that's where I basically learned about the UFO topic. And because of that exposure, it turned out that when Bigelow finally responded to a DIA request in 2007 to set up the ATIP program, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, for the DIA to investigate UFOs, since I've been involved with him and his National Institute for Discovery Science, he invited me to be part of that. So that's how I got officially involved in the Pentagon's program.
There you go.
He's saying everything so matter-of-factly. He's providing credibility to the Skinwalker Ranch, right? And basically saying, oh, yeah, and, the Pentagon was interested and we focused on it. It's like, it's not even, it's just casual conversation, right? He's talking about stuff that so many people would find so far-fetched and unbelievable. And this guy, Dan, has more education and know-how about this kind of crap that you and I could probably get
I'm not
in
saying
50
that
lifetimes.
He's stupid by any means. He's way smarter than I am. It's just
in this realm, right?
And it just comes back to the fact is, are they with the good guys or with the bad guys? Now, this next part has me questioning. This is the bone I got to pick with Tom DeLong. Hold your thought.
Okay.
We'll get there.
I got the finger and everything. All right.
So, Tom DeLong put out this tweet. Okay, we got Joe Biden here in the Medal of Freedom, and he's got his response on top. A time when there wasn't riots, white supremacy walking around freely, 200,000 negligent deaths, 215 FBI indictments, multiple White House officials in prison, Russian money laundering, and election fraud, and relentless bullying from the POTUS. I met Obama, class act, not one controversy.
Whatever.
So it's like, do you not think like maybe the corruption's coming out because it's finally being put out there and things are changing with leadership?
Yeah, he just covered it up. And plus there were plenty of controversies when Obama was in office. Come on. Wasn't Benghazi when Obama was in office? I mean, come on, Tom.
That's a good point, because if I'm on, I have his Twitter feed. I might just have to freaking unfollow him. I hate to do that because he does put some stuff out before
you don't want
the TTSA stuff, but it's constant bashing of Trump, and it's always Obama, and these like he puts Obama, Podesta, Clinton on a pedestal. You can look into WikiLeaks emails, and I don't know if that's just because they sat him down and said that you're gonna disclose this to the world. He got a big head. Let's keep in mind here, Tom DeLong, I think right out of high school, he had his band going and getting his ass kissed. When you're at a band, you start getting popular, you can get your ass kissed a lot.
Yeah.
So this guy's had his ass kissed his whole life.
Can get away with whatever
he wants.
This is just like professional sports players too, right? And politicians.
Yeah. And so like, at what point is it like, is he not going to take a critical eye? Like today, I actually reposted on he tweeted out a picture of the kids in the cages at the border. What I did was I found that somebody else posted one on, I think it was Trump's feed, with Obama's guy with the kids in cages. Put that on his. Oh, yeah. I responded with a freaking retweet on it.
A lot of these pictures you see from the border and stuff were from the Obama administration.
But he doesn't
and just
talk
for
about
the
that.
record, okay, in April of 2015, Baltimore riots were occurring with
oh, that's right.
Property damage and injuries. Obama called the rioters criminals and thugs. And guess why they were rioting?
Not enough free stuff.
Police brutality.
Oh.
And so anyway, come on, man, Tom. That was just not. You did not do any research.
But it's
there.
constant. He's not doing any of this research. Like, at least, like, look at some of it. Like with the kids with the cages, it's so obvious, and it just drives you crazy. So how can you trust a guy that turns his blind eye to Obama and this shit? But he's going to be the savior for the UFO community. That's where I have the problem.
He's married, you said, though, right?
Yeah,
so
he
he's
is.
not trying to impress a new girl. Or maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe he's got one of those relationships trying to impress somebody. I don't know.
I think his ego is big. I think it's just he wants all that.
I see tweets like this. I see posts like this on Facebook. I just roll my eyes. I'm like, people are just spewing crap. Like Darlene with her face mask rashes. You know, I don't know.
Well, there could be some truth to that, though.
We're past that. But anyway, I see why you're.
But that's why I get pissed off in this UFO. And there's so many people that follow him. Oh yeah, you're right, and they have no idea. Like, and then you can't you want to come together as a country. Why not say what some things? I don't 100%. We can bring this back to this. I don't 100% agree with Trump on everything. I don't like the idea of the military or army or whoever's going to do it bringing the vaccines around.
Right.
That sounds like martial law to me. I don't like that.
National Guard administering, right?
Or forced vaccinations or any of that stuff. He never said he was going to force it, but you never know what could happen. If he's Dr. Fauci gets his way in Bill Gates, who knows?
Right.
So that's why I just, he's supposed to be the face of disclosure. He is the face of disclosure. A lot of people kiss his ass, even in our community, who are trying to wake other people up. Is Ttsa doing some good? Yeah, I'll give him props to that. Like I said, Hal Puthoff, he's smarter than me. He is in the NSA and all that stuff. So can you trust him? Is this the cabal doing the disclosure? I think we kind of thought that was the case before.
Yeah, where's this disclosure crap at, man? I thought we were going to be seeing some disclosure stuff, dude.
I had a clip.
We kind of have been.
I had a clip of Trump I was going to play, but I decided to take it off the show. It was getting long anyway.
Yeah, we've been running a long time already.
Trump tied this in when he was questioned again on Mornings with Maria. What do they call her? Like the dollar honey on No Agenda or something like that.
Yeah.
But he was asked again about the UFOs, and he said, I know nothing about it. I'll have to ask or whatever. But he tied that into, we're building the best military. We're doing all that. So he's going to tie that in with maybe an evil alien attack or something. So it's something to be
well, yeah, that's how you get people to throw a bunch of money at it. We got to protect ourselves. All I got to say, if aliens were out there and intent on attacking us, we would be done by now.
That's right.
They're thousands of years advanced. Some would say 50 to 100,000 years, right?
You got to think of how far advanced they are. They saw this Tic Tac craft way back then. We don't know if it's a threat. Blah 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 blah.
But we're going to build a bomb to kill it in case it is.
It's not saying that you shouldn't take precautions, but to sit there and get everybody riled up because you need Congress. I don't know. Is there a better way for disclosure? I'm not saying I have all the answers either, folks. I mean, talk is cheap. I'm not saying I'm right by any means. I want everybody to have their own opinions. And when I see Tom DeLonge
that's misguided, man. That is so false on so many levels.
He always turns a blind eye to Obama and all that crap. Podesta with all that.
Oh, you said it this time.
I can say Podesta.
You just can't say
what he's doing.
Little kid stuff with it. Okay, I'm with you.
I mean, this show is going to be demonetized anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, we figured that. I hope it doesn't get pulled because of my earlier.
I hope it
discretion.
But that's why you go over and subscribe on the audio podcast, folks. Get the links of the subscriptions have gone up on that. I appreciate it. I can see that the numbers are going up because if we get pulled from here, we'll be over there. Of course, we're still on BitChute and LBRY. And also our voicemail. We didn't get any voicemails for this week.
What?
1-256-510-5234.
I'm looking at all these people in the chat. One of you SOBs, pick up the phone and say hi to us, man. Come on.
1-256-510-K2D4. Just say hi to us. Again, this is our live show. We're gonna film 2 ahead, you and I.
Yep.
And we actually won't have contact with the audience
6 weeks.
Yeah. So we're not gonna be here. Like the next show we put up, which we'll be filming in a few minutes here. The election will be over, so I don't know if there's going to be chaos, anarchy, or internet's down, whatever.
Yeah,
happen.
we might be way behind the times.
So I kind of asked you if you maybe wanted to do a Skype thing and we could do something. If it's
we should do
interesting.
an election night Skype or something.
Well, I'll be at work, but
allegedly.
That's a good point. Yeah. You never know what's gonna happen, folks.
Yeah.
You just never know. So that's all I wanted to say is I'm voting for Trump. What are you doing, Pete? Yeah, I mean,
I don't vote for any of these jokers.
My thing is, if you're not at least leaning to independent by now.
Oh, I've been a GDI my whole life, a goddamn independent, man. And I refuse to vote for any of these jokers in the freaking that are currently out there in the front running, because part of me feels that.
What don't you like about Trump? Can I ask you that?
He's a politician.
He's an elite. He's an outsider.
Well, he's a politician now. He's an elite business leader, man. Okay, he has been his whole life disconnected from the trials and tribulations of people like you and me. Make no mistake, Trump is in that position to enhance his business prospects for himself and his family and his friends. And the fact that he's throwing us bones along the way he's only doing that so that he can get reelected to continue doing it.
I think it's more of an ego thing at this point.
Well, absolutely, that too. But anybody thinks that Trump or Biden have our best interest in mind, they're just wrong. You're falling victim to the game, man. So I will do one of two things. I will write in Dan Holfeld, or what I'll usually
40 times.
Yeah, 40 times. Or what I'll most likely do is probably vote for the Libertarian candidate. That's usually my MO.
See, I used to not go either way, but I know Trump is more of a independent. Remember, the left and the right didn't like him.
Well, yeah, nobody likes him because he's
and some of his policies don't go all right.
No, they don't.
And I look at how our things have gotten changed. We're getting peace in the Middle East now. We have peace with North Korea. The list goes on and on. I like the tax cuts. I guess they didn't help you so much. They helped me.
Yeah, what, $40 a week?
I get another $200 a paycheck, so that's
$100 a week.
That's fine. I mean, it's more money than what I was getting before.
Yeah.
So it's something. It adds up.
Yeah.
I mean, I was getting so strangled.
Well, it's nice that they're giving it to you now. I hope you're saving it because Social Security will be gone by the time you need it. But so anyway,
hopefully we won't need money by then.
I didn't like Donald Trump before he became president, man.
I didn't ever really looked into him. I could see when he was doing his show that he had like a bit of an ego when I saw that.
Have you ever seen the WWF clip of Trump?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Maybe that's where I saw it was here. Anyway, so I don't trust him. Didn't like him before. He's an elite business leader, unfettered capitalism, things that I despise. Now people
but if it's down between him and Biden,
I don't vote for lesser of two evils. I refuse to vote for evil, plain and simple.
See, I did that with McCain and Romney when I didn't do Obama or those two.
Yep.
So like I know where you're coming from, but I really feel like he's doing more to help than hurt. So it's like,
I don't know. I had a conversation last night with my boss at home, and I said, and I asked her, I said, how has the Trump presidency affected you positively or negatively? And so in your case, what I've heard, you like the tax cuts
right on top for me. Yeah.
Even though that may not be a full wash, or that's still come to go, because I know it washed out on me when it came time to pay in taxes. They just got it all back then.
I know we went through it with a year. I still got the same back last year.
Yeah, so. That's what you said. So,
yeah. And my parents never got any money back.
And they got money back.
And they actually got a little bit back. They actually had to pay in before.
Yeah.
So that's a big difference.
Yep. Yeah, that is. Well, so I'm glad, and that is working.
And believe me, the other thing too. I think Trump could be stronger and get rid of the IRS. I want to see him do that.
Yep.
So it's not 100% my candidate, but he is going in the direction I would like to see things go.
I don't know, man. The fact that he said that if oil companies gave him $1 billion, that he would do what they want, that doesn't make me really.
I would like to see the clip on that one.
Oh, he said in the debate last night.
Oh, that was jokingly, because Biden was talking about selling out.
Well, was it? Anyway.
Just like Biden said that he was Abraham Lincoln too. So
yeah, that was awesome. So anyway, I don't trust him. Never did. He dodged a draft, obviously, which I came from a somewhat not 100% military family, but some. My dad served in World War II. Lied about his age to fight for America.
Weren't you a different person many years ago, though?
Like, in what way?
I was a pretty hellraiser. I didn't really care about people, and I changed a lot. So, I mean, people can change is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, you're right. I don't see that in Trump. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny because I was pretty left-leaning through high school and college. Anti-military. I still am anti-military, but just really was anti-establishment and all that. And as I've gotten a little older, I think I've slid a little more toward the center. I really classify myself as a gun-toting liberal. Is kind of the best way to describe me. That said,
those two words I don't think can go together in the same sentence.
Right. And so, but that said, I hear some of this liberal rhetoric going on. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. But then on the flip side, I see some of this, conservative rhetoric going on, and I'm like, you guys are freaking idiots too, man. So I'm somewhere in the middle.
No, I get it. Like I said, I'm not 100% with it all, but I see a direction that it's going.
Yep. But you will,
and I didn't see that with those other candidates in the past year ever, because those were two sides of the same coin. 100%.
I fail to see a direction just because of how crippled.
Peace in the Middle East. The list could go on and on. No war with North Korea. That kind of got brought to an end. And
except for North Korea just to display, revealed its new ballistic missile that can hit the United States now. Just like 2 weeks ago.
Is that something in a play there?
Is it a big cardboard thing that they just drug down the street? Who knows, right? But all I know is that if
all I know is when the media is attacking him, there's got to be something right.
You and I we just mentioned that about QAnon, right? When politicians are worried about Q, there's something in there, and I think the Trump attacks are coming from the standpoint of that he's overturning the cart, right? And the vegetable carts turned over, and all of these other elites that have had this, club called Congress and United States politics, that was a different group that was owned that, and now Trump's in, and literally, the bull in the china shop. He doesn't care about either of those groups, left or right. I'm doing my Trump thing, but make no mistake, Trump's a third group that, if given unfettered access and control of that, will just corrupt it in his own different way. Now, if we can get things like tax breaks, if we can get things like experimental treatments approved, right?
Oh, that's another one. You mentioned a good point. The right to try.
Yeah,
that's another.
That is probably right now my number one thing that I like about Trump.
That's a good thing.
That was an awesome thing, and it needs to keep going. The fact that he hasn't gotten this new COVID experimental treatment out to the rest of us, it's a sticking point with me. But
I don't think that's on him though. It's somebody else. He's got to have that approval.
Yep.
Whatever.
Anybody can do that. You don't have to be evil to do that. And I don't like Trump. I don't think he's got our best interest in mind, and I don't like Biden. I don't think he's got our best interest in mind. So I refuse to vote for the lesser of two evils, because it's still voting for evil. I'm going to pick the person that I think is the best, and most likely will be libertarian. But you know what? Like I said, I've had elections where go in there half jagged, and I'll write in my buddy's name just to see if it shows up somewhere.
So there you go, folks. Nice little debate. Everybody kind of appreciated it in the chat, so that was good. I kind of wanted to see where everybody's at. You want to give a teaser about your topic coming up? I'm doing Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and I guess it'd be 4 weeks.
Yeah, right.
So you're 2 weeks. What do you got?
2 weeks out. A little teasers. Stick around in 2 weeks. I'm going to talk about Washington, D.C., the formation of the District of Columbia. There's a lot of stuff out there saying that it's controlled by foreign government. It is not U.S. soil, and it's a corporation, and all of this stuff that goes along with that. It's a rabbit hole, Dano.
Interesting.
It's a rabbit hole.
Interesting, and I'll say it just for the hell of it. It is my birthday tomorrow. I'm
what?
Gonna be
how do I not know this?
34. So,
oh God!
I just figured, what the hell?
To be 34.
Happy Halloween, everybody!
You're 10 years younger than me. Jesus.
I feel old when I hit this part. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, well, they make me feel old.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, signing out. Thank you guys for joining.
Yeah, thanks, guys and gals.